A witch named Mary Worth, who according to local tradition, lived on the Old Wagon Road in Chicago during the Civil War. It is said that she used to kidnap runaway slaves and keep them chained in her barn, doing who knows what to them in her dark rituals. The locals eventually became furious enough to take the law into their own hands and burn Worth at the stake. The legend says her body was buried in St. Patrick's Cemetery. Doubtful, since an infamous witch would have never been laid to rest in a Christian cemetery. Instead, she may have been buried on her farm, as one couple learned the hard way. Many decades after Mary Worth's execution, a farmer and his wife bought her former property and, fully aware of the place's history, built their home on the very foundations of the barn in which Worth practiced her black arts. Apparently not one to be scared by old legends, the farmer set out to clear the land for an oat field. During his work, he came across a square stone and moved it to the door of the house, figuring it to be a good stepping stone. This proved to be a mistake. Violent and often dangerous events immediately began to plague the couple, with the wife finding herself locked in the barn or the house on multiple occasions and plates crashing on the floor by themselves. As the activity worsened, the farmer began to wonder if he had inadvertently disturbed Mary Worth's real gravesite. He tried to return the stone to its original place in an attempt to end the disturbing phenomena, but he never could find the exact spot. After several years of torment, the house burned to the ground in 1986, supposedly due to arson. There were later several failed attempts to build on the property. A developer managed to eventually raise a group of houses, but the one nearest to Mary Worth's barn has since burned down once or even twice. Chapter 3: The Miller's Daughter. Long ago, a young woman known as Mary Bloodsworth lived in a tiny cottage in a forest in Massachusetts. Mary sold healing herbs and other remedies to people who came from far and wide to see her. People said she was beautiful and that she enchanted many men. As time passed, some grew jealous of the attention she received, and villagers began to tease her behind her back, calling her a witch. People whispered that Mary would never marry or bear children. One year, village girls began to disappear. When the first girl vanished, people said she had run away. But as time passed, more and more girls disappeared. Their families were overcome with grief, and all the villagers searched the forest, the streets, the houses, the pastures, and the barns. They found no sign of the missing girls. Some of the villagers went to Mary's home in the woods to ask if she had taken the girls. Rumors were spreading. Mary told them she knew nothing of these girls and had never seen a single one, and yes, of course, they were welcome to search her house. No one knows if they did. Still, more rumors of Mary's powers spread. Later that autumn, on a cold evening, a strange sound woke the daughter of the village miller. She rose up from her bed in the middle of the night and walked outside, following the sound that no one else heard. The miller's wife was awoke with a toothache and saw her daughter leave the house. She called to her husband to chase after the girl, and so he ran outside in his bedclothes and yelled, "Stop! Stop, come back!" But the girl ran so fast he quickly lost sight of her. The miller's wife ran outside too, and they began to chase after their daughter. Their screams woke the other villagers who ran outside to help them. Suddenly the villagers saw a glow at the edge of the forest, so they followed that night. They came to a tree where they saw Mary holding a magic wand pointed toward the miller's house. The miller's daughter was there too, glowing in an unearthly light. It seemed Mary had cast a spell on the girl. The villagers raised their weapons, shovels, pitchforks, and rifles, but upon hearing the people coming, Mary broke off her spell and raced into the woods. The villagers chased after her, and when they reached her cottage, they captured her. As she thrashed out, fighting off the villagers, Mary broke a mirror, cutting her hand. Mary screamed and cursed all the women and girls of the village. The people called it the Curse of Bloody Mary. Mary was put on trial, and at the trial, the miller's daughter described the sound she had heard as a melodic whistle like the wind blowing through leaves and carrying a tune. People in the courtroom noticed Mary was pregnant, but she would not reveal who the father of her child was. When the judge insisted that she tell everyone, she said, "There is no father." On the stand, the local minister declared that the baby must be the child of Satan. "The baby must die," the judge declared. As for Mary's punishment, though the villagers could find no proof of her having stolen the other girls, when she was set free, they slashed her with the glass of her broken mirror, killing her and her baby. Soon after, the father of the child came forward, but it was too late. Mary was gone, and her spirit was trapped inside the broken mirror. The young man buried the pieces of the mirror in Mary's grave. As time went by, all the pieces disintegrated, leaving behind only the angry spirit of Mary. Some people say that Bloody Mary can be summoned from the mirrors, where they sometimes see her looking out. They say she wears a bloody dress with rusty chains draped around her neck and shoulders. In those days, if a witch was buried in chains, some people believed her ghost could not return. But some say girls who looked in the mirror must be careful not to say Bloody Mary's name 10 times or she will reappear and capture your soul.